Oops. Sorry, Evan, I messed it up. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. I was leaning on the button.
I wouldn't have it any other way. You were so close.
I was so close.
Good morning, everybody. It is February 3rd for another episode of Rise Up Morning Show.
In the morning.
Today.
Rise Up in the morning.
Alex is captaining, and it's falling apart, and Evan's computer is melting into a pile of sludge, I feel like.
Something,
yeah. I hope everybody's doing well.
All he said was, it's not behaving as I would expect. And I don't know what that means, but we'll find out.
I'm just imagining very like Zincian crab claws and tentacles like coming out like very Warhammer 40k demonic chaos. Just like, this computer isn't acting as I would have expected.
It's just, it's one of those things. We'll find out the full story when he gets here. But until then, I do like the tentacle vision, so we'll stick with that. But Will, how you doing? How's it going?
I'm good. Good.
Most importantly, how is the mountain or the slope or the hill or whatever you're
skiing on? Yesterday was beautiful, and today is going to be even better. It started off at 0, but it ended feeling like 0. So, technically not 0, but then it got up to like 29 degrees. Sun was out, and there was no wind. Got my girlfriend down a few runs, and she was getting better and better and better every single time because it's still just like her 5th time skiing. And got some beers, got some food, saw some friends, all that kind of stuff, and it's good. Today's going to be another gorgeous day, and I got some work and things to do and some trades to make, but I'm going to go ski around all of that and get a few runs in today, and it'll be great. So it's good. It's wonderful.
I have not been skiing or snowboarding since probably undergrad, and I miss it dearly. I used to go all the time. I was obsessed with it to the point where I was like mildly, when I lived in upstate New York, that's when I first like really got into it. And then living in the UP, we had decent mountain options, Marquette Mountains, it's okay. And man, I do really miss it. Someday I'll have to get back out there. Of course, it was also the source of my single most debilitating injury, from which I literally still suffer chronic back pain here 16 years later, 15 years later.
Just don't do that next time.
Well, see, here's the thing. It was so innocuous at the time feeling. I literally went down, it was the first run of the day on the first day of the season. And I went down and the terrain park had just opened. So I went through it and I came out of it and I get down to the bottom and I went to like bunny hop over this little bump in the snow on my way back to the chair. And there was a rail buried in the snow behind it that I couldn't see, and I didn't land on it properly. So I slipped off and sat on it right in the middle and cracked my left SI joint. So
yeah, well,
So Will, before we get to before we bring up our guest and get the show going, I do want to hear if there's any, if you have any quick market updates for us. And specifically, I have one question for you because this was my fault. I wasn't paying close enough attention. And I missed the gold, like the drop off to gold down to like 4,400 or something, which was pretty much exactly what you told me to look for. And then it happened exactly as you said it did, and I wasn't paying attention, and I missed it, and now it's almost back to $5,000.
Is there a question there?
Yeah. Why didn't you call me and remind me? And what happened? What are we expecting, or what are you looking at right now? Because I've seen a bunch of your tweets about it.
Yeah, yesterday I made a bunch of trades, and it was funny. I made it like way too many trades yesterday, and I made like $200, and I was like, woo! But hey, making money is making money. But I was doing that around skiing, and it wasn't working. So today, what I'm looking for is I'm just like looking for Bitcoin to show a sign that it does want to go up and close the gap on the futures chart up to $81,000. And as I go around and looked at, I've been looking at Hyperliquid's chart right now, and it played out exactly how we were hoping it would play out yesterday, up to about $37. Solana played out exactly how we thought it was going to play out yesterday, which was great. Almost exactly. We thought it was going to go to 101. It went down to 102. But right now, in the short term, this looks like a market to potentially long. The altcoin chart I'm looking the most closely at right now is actually Polygon's, funny enough. If it can turn like 12.5 cents into support, you could actually have a sizable run up in the short term for it, which could be fun and exciting. However, if 12.5 cents, really 12 cents, ends up being resistance, you could have a short opportunity. So Polygon's chart looks pretty clean to me. And then gold. I'm also still heavily looking at gold. And there could be, it depends. I'm looking more so at gold over the next few days. I'll have a better sense as to if there could be a short-term long for gold coming up, or if we're going to need to keep shorting it. So we'll see. But I closed out a pretty big short on gold the other day and made a bunch of money. And that was nice. That's it. Today's kind of like a setup day for me. You know, like I don't have a clear sense as to what's happening. I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen over the next like 12 hours or so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Well, without further ado, I think it's time to bring up our guests. So I'm excited because I've never gotten a chance to speak to them, and so we're hosting our friend Ashane Pereira from Metana, who is in charge of content and curriculum. And Metana, you might remember as Zara's been on the show before. Is that right?
Oh yeah, Zara's been on the show.
It's been a minute. So we've been friends with Metana for a while. They do an incredible job of helping people get onboarded into Web3, not just in the sense that you might be thinking with regards to figuring out how to make a wallet and do all the basic stuff, but also to work here and specifically to create protocols to build to become Web3 builders. And so I'm pretty excited to see what's been going on over there. And without further ado, Ashian, welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
Hey, happy to be here. Excited.
So I know that when I popped into the backstage, you and Will were going back and forth about very, very important.
Incredibly important things.
The most important things.
Yes.
Anime, Gundam in One Piece, Warhammer 40K.
Yeah.
You know, just like
the things that make life worth living. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
There you go.
Expensive plastic, expensive cardboard.
Yes. Yeah.
And dice.
I miss the dice. I do have a pretty extensive dice collection that I'm very proud of. Inherited an accident from somebody that I bought a yurt from a number of years ago, and it came with this giant glass jar of really interesting dice. Some of them are pressed like out of Civil War era musket balls.
Sick.
Yeah, there's like hand carved wood ones. There's some bamboo ones. There's this one that's like this really pretty dark wood. I don't know what kind it is, with like mother of pearl inset into it for the numbers. I don't know why he left it there, but it's pretty sweet. I'm pretty excited.
No. Yeah.
Not upset that he left it. It's pretty dope.
No, not upset at all. It catalyzed the collection. It gave me a great excuse to start buying more dice because dice are cool.
Dice are definitely cool.
Ashian, in addition to content and curriculum, first of all, I'm curious how you got involved in all this. What brought you to the space, and how did you end up at a place like Metana?
Well, okay, that's a pretty interesting story, actually, because I've been in a lot of different fields, experimenting where I fit in the most. So I'll start from the beginning. I started out as a marketing guy. You know, because like I thought I'd work in like a 9-to-5 job, traditional job, work my way up the ladder and kind of become, I guess, like a director of like some big shot company. And I went into marketing, and then 3 months down the line, where I actually did get into a corporate role, it was kind of draining the life out of me. I had this like 2-3 foot long cubicle, like glaring white light, like a telephone, and like a laptop that was like 15 years old. And I was just like, what is this? And I was just doing mundane work, you know, sending emails in the morning, following up with like some people I needed to sell stuff to. It was very mundane, and I absolutely hated it. And I'm a pretty creative person, and I just felt my like creative side completely die out, like working there for 3 months. And this is like a pretty big company where I live. You know, people say really good things about it, but working there is not the same as like the prestige of that company. So Then I decided, okay, I need to turn things around. So something about me, when life gets to a point where like I really can't take it, I start doing very drastic things. I take decisions that completely turn my life upside down. So at this point, what I decided to do was, I'm going to completely shove my degree. I'm going to shove my corporate job that's very secure, that's paying me very good. And I'm going to go start working at an art museum, like down the road.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yes. So I start working at this art museum, and I stayed there for like 2 years. And it really helped me develop as like a very creative person. And it sort of helped me kind of understand what visual communication is, and a lot about design and all of that. So afterwards, it's an art museum, it's a non-profit organization. I weren't making enough money, and I was like, it's time to find the next big thing. And I decided I'm going to get into software engineering. So I taught myself software engineering in like 6 months. And then I said, okay, I don't think I can get hired if I don't have a degree in software engineering. So I go to uni again for the second time, this time for software engineering. Before even I completed the first year, I randomly come across this post on LinkedIn where Metana is looking for interns. And so I just blindly just decided, hey, I'll just apply and see what happens. So I applied, and then they wanted to interview me because apparently my CV was pretty interesting. Because like I had all of these like other unrelated things in my belt.
Yeah.
And
They're just like art museum.
yeah, exactly. This guy went from this like really big shot company to working at an art museum, and then he's now in software development. They were like, what is going on?
They're like,
So
either he's the most interesting man ever, or something's wrong.
Yes, exactly. So the operations manager at the time at Metana was like, I really need to talk to this guy. I want to see what this is all about. So he interviews me, and then he really is like, oh, you're actually a perfect fit for this role. And then gets me as an instructor, like a assistant instructor, not an instructor, just like an assistant instructor who's like marking some assignments here and there, just very intern level role. And so I'm a very creative guy, and I assert myself into a lot of things. So about 2-3 weeks into my stay at Metana, I figure out what I like, where I can help out, and I just like, without asking, I just go help there. And I kind of found out like helping in content really worked out a lot. So I just started making like a few social media posts for them, like a few TikTok videos, starring in those videos, writing some scripts. And then it just kind of snowballed from there, where now I like kind of lead the entire content team, and kind of produce a lot of content for a majority of our bootcamps. So like, if any students of Metana are watching, they'll probably see me in a lot of the bootcamps that they're actually taking. So yeah, that's how I got here.
Okay.
Oh, dude, that's fascinating.
That is a really interesting trajectory. And
Yes.
so I'm curious, I want to drill into, you said that you decided you wanted to pivot into software engineering. And so
Yes.
you were self-taught. I feel like
Yes.
this comes up quite a bit. I feel like I've seen this question 100 times. Someone who may be in a similar position, because did you have any prior experience with software or writing code or anything before you? Okay, so you started fresh.
Completely started fresh.
Okay, so how did you approach it? And would you do anything differently if you could go back and do it again, knowing what you know now about the field?
Yes. I would really, really take the advice of everyone telling me to like just follow a structure. I would 100% take that advice. So in my case, when I found a topic that I liked, I started reading up on it. I started watching tutorials about it, and then come across another topic that I don't know about. So what I do is stop everything that I did, go to that topic, and start learning everything about that. And it kind of just kept on happening and happening and happening. That really, really makes your self-taught experience bad. It's kind of like purgatory in a sense. It's like you think you're learning something, but in the long run, where if you look at like a chart of like where you want to be, you're not like where you want to be, because you think you're studying, but you're not, because you're just going from topic to topic without really just following a proper guided structure.
Mhm.
So the one absolute biggest thing is just I would tell myself, please stick to this structure, because I had so many structures, so many people. I paid like Udemy courses and everything, whenever like an interesting topic of that came, I just diverted. I did not stay in that structure. So that's the key thing that I would change.
Did you find that everything that you were learning then, or I guess I'm interested in the carryover between skills that you learned, because obviously when you got into it, you didn't have blockchain and Web3 and crypto and all that kind of stuff in mind, probably. So if you started off without that, being the goal, but obviously that's where you ended up. Do you feel like you should have? I guess how did you feel prepared? Like, how did you have to learn a whole bunch of new stuff after you started with the internship at Metana? Because you were then at that point fresh out of university, right?
Yes, I did have to learn a lot of new stuff. But again, this is why I said following a structure was important to me, because Metana gave me a structure. So they had like proper training plans for like each individual role, where they were like, hey, if you want to get into this role, these are like the skills you need to have. If you want to get these skills, follow this structure, we'll upskill you. So like they properly gave me a structure that like made it very easy for me to like actually get comfortable in this space, where it's like now it's second nature to me. So that's actually where my advice comes from, because like I've experienced both. I've experienced studying without a structure as well as studying with a structure, and upskilling yourself with the structure is miles better.
Mm-hmm. What would you say then is like, because you kind of went through this approach where it's like, hey, if I'm going to learn something, I'm fully diving in 100%. And you mentioned you're using Udemy to do that, right? And so obviously for us three, because we know Metana, but for those of the folks here, like, Metana is a place where you can go and learn to either, if your developer skills are 0 and you want to become a hero and get a job in the blockchain space, or if you have experience, maybe you've even built a smart application, a decentralized application before, but you want to get better and learn more skills, you can go to Metana, right? So I think this is a good segue opportunity. What's kind of like the experience difference between maybe tackling a subject in Udemy to learn versus going through Metana to, learn to become a blockchain developer?
So let's look at Udemy and Metana and understand the reason why those two exist, right? Mm-hmm. So that can probably answer this. So Metana exists for one small reason that is burning in the back of lots of people's mind, and it's changing careers and getting into new careers is really hard. It's just hard, man. Like, it's not easy. It's difficult, especially if you're doing it alone. So Metana exists solely to make that transition incredibly seamless and easy, and that you don't have to do it alone. You have like a lot of support you get from Metana. It's like a whole ecosystem. You have the career team, you have the curriculum team, you have your instructors. At each individual step of the way of you getting hired, someone from some of our departments are just going to keep holding your hand, showing where you need to go, what you need to be doing at what time, right? Now, if you look at Udemy, I wouldn't say they exist for the same reason. They exist, I would say, just to teach you about something. Now, in the grand scheme of things, if your goal is just to learn, then yeah, it works. But if you're a person who at the time who was like me trying to get into software development, a program like Metana would have been a much better investment of my money, I would say. Because it's the purpose of the two different things, right? So anyone who's learning to get hired, we have a whole ecosystem about like teaching you guys from 0 skills to learning everything you need in that industry, on top of all the career guidance that we also give, as well as kind of like helping you connect with partners as well and get you hired that way. So
I think that's the perfect way to describe it. Udemy is a place to go learn something. Metana is a place if you want to have like a career change into this, kind of developer role, and you're not a developer.
Yes, exactly. And I wouldn't just say career change as well, because we have a lot of boot camps where you can kind of accelerate your career. If you feel like you're kind of stuck in one place, we have introduced a few of our boot camps where we help people to kind of like gun for jobs in like the FANG companies, Like the instructor who made that bootcamp worked at Google for like 10 years and then Microsoft for like another 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So we took all of his like secrets of the industry, and we're going to use that to kind of help people accelerate their careers as well.
Yeah. And to me, I think when I look and I go through, because I've interviewed and worked for a few different companies, and I think my favorite thing that you guys offer that really makes you different, because there are a lot of places where people can go and learn a skill, but you mentioned like, Metana has an ecosystem. I think my favorite thing was like the ability to kind of open up doors. Like you have networking opportunities, and the ability to say like, hey, you've learned this skill, but once you learn a skill, it's hard to get into the right room with the right people to then say like, hey, like I'm here, I'm dedicated, I know what I'm talking about, I can do this job. And that's oftentimes the hardest thing. So the fact that you guys have networking capabilities as well, because it's learn the skill and become confident in it, get in a room with the right people to actually have an opportunity to get the job. It's two different things, right? And so the fact that you guys have both is awesome. I've always liked that a lot.
So like a perfect analogy for this would be like if you have two developers, right? If you take like developer A and developer B, imagine these two developers. Developer A, let's say, is like the world's greatest developer. He's like a 10x developer, but he's just that. He doesn't really know how to connect with people. His LinkedIn game is pretty abysmal. He doesn't know like the right people to connect with and like how to start a conversation or how to really face an interview. But on the other hand, we have developer B, who's like a very subpar developer. I'm not saying he's a bad developer, but he's nothing compared to developer A. But where this guy shines is he knows exactly how to package his skills to recruiters in a very attractive way. So if these people apply for the same roles and they interview for the same roles, statistically speaking, developer B is going to get a much higher chance of getting the offer letter than developer A. Because you have to think about it in the recruiter's mindset if you're trying to change careers, right? A recruiter's biggest problem is finding the perfect candidate for a role. So if you actually think about it, you or anyone who's trying to change careers is like the perfect solution for any recruiter's biggest problem. So that's kind of like the mindset you want to have. So that's what Metana, in the end of each of our bootcamps, kind of train you to become.
Yep. No, I think that's awesome.
We've got
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Will. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we have questions from the audience. I figured that's what you were going to head to.
Yep. So we've got a few questions that have come in. So starting at the top, with regards to your onboarding process to Metana. So obviously, like we said, you went in with some prior knowledge. You had recently come out of university for computer science. Did you have a focus or a specialty when you were when you went back to school?
I didn't come out of my software degree. I got into Metana before I completed my first year.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so after I spent like 6 months at Metana, I actually stopped my second degree, which was this software engineering degree, because of this. I learned everything that degree was going to teach me working at Metana and teaching students and going through Metana's curriculum. So it was really a game changer for me in terms of like how did I learn like all of that content within just 6 months of industry exposure. And that's when it really clicked. Like having a degree and having educational qualifications, it's good, but it doesn't compare to like real world experience that you get like working on projects. I'm not telling people that you need work experience per se, but if you have real world experience just building any sort of project, whether you're on Web3, Web2, or whatever field, that experience is like miles better than just any degree, I would say. So I actually didn't complete the software engineering degree because
Gotcha.
I got everything that I needed to learn. Just being in the industry, being around developers, talking to senior developers. I got all of that knowledge for free. So I didn't want to keep paying for something that I already know.
So then once you made the switch and you were working at Metana in an intern capacity, what was that onboarding time like? How much time did you spend kind of figuring everything out and catching up, or adding all of the?
I would say the entire onboarding process for me took only 2 weeks. where they kind of like got me up to standards where like I knew what the assignments were about. So I started off in our most basic boot camp, the full stack development boot camp, which I would say is like a really easy boot camp. So that's where I started out. So I actually would say that I started at like the most basic role at Metana and kind of like worked my way up there. So it was pretty easy for me to like catch on, because like all the stuff I already had experience building, like projects on my own. It was pretty easy. Now, in terms of content, it took around like a year, I would say, for it to become what it is now. Now the content team and like the curriculum team, it's like a powerhouse. It's like a production powerhouse. I would say it took like a whole year for it to get to the place where it was. And I'm not going to take credit for building it to where it is now. I'm the person kind of manning the ship now, but there was a whole team effort into making it like what it is now, especially from our chief operating officer, Imet. I think he's actually been on the show. He was a big part of making the content and community and the curriculum team what it is today.
So you talk about structure and how that was like that's your single biggest recommendation. There was a question, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Cyphren, which is another kind of like...
Yes, Cyphren, right?
Okay, the question was specifically about, what differentiates Metana and Cyphren. And as far as I understand it, actually one of the key differences is sort of like you were describing with Udemy, where it's not necessarily just a place that you're going to go learn like a very targeted specific thing.
Yes.
But on your guys' side, it's more of this bootcamp structure where you're going to be learning like the full process as opposed to something more specific.
I wouldn't just say it's just the bootcamp and the structure. The best way, as William said before, it's an ecosystem. Once you get into Metana, you're joining an ecosystem. On one hand, you have our platform, which is our LMS, and you have a lot of things that you do inside the platform itself, where you have like daily tasks that you need to be doing. You have all your lessons there, you have all your video lessons, and on the other side, you have all the instructors that you are going to be interacting with daily, or even weekly. It depends on the students. If like a student, that's another thing, personalization. If a student needs more hands-on approach for things, we give them daily classes and daily time with our instructors. If you want like a laid-back approach, you can also take a laid-back approach and just meet your instructors weekly. And apart from that, we also then have the career team. That's a whole different department that comes into play at the end of the bootcamp that ensures that you actually do get hired and that everything you learned is now put into like an applicable sense, right? So I would say that's like the biggest differentiating factor between us and any of our competitors. I would say it's an ecosystem that you are joining. We have a lot of different things that are playing a role at different stages of the journey, and that journey is you starting from zero to actually getting a brand new career in like a brand new industry that's up and coming.
I love that is kind of how it boils down, because the longer I've been in this space, granted, in a media capacity, not as much in a builder's capacity, but the networking and the ecosystem is quite literally everything. And the really space is so small that it is extremely difficult to break into something. So, speaking out to anybody who is interested or, actively building something and wants to figure out, how to level up, would you say that it's worth it? What would you recommend to someone who maybe already has some engineering or developer chops, maybe is already actively building something in the crypto space, but feels, disconnected or kind of out in the cold by themselves? How would you recommend that person get involved in an ecosystem? Would it be appropriate to take a bootcamp at that point, or is there a different product, or what would you say?
So Metana's ecosystem, or Metana's offerings, I would say, offers to quite a different number of people, and based on their purpose, right? So on one hand, you have the absolute beginners, people who are like either freshers, like right out of high school, or people who are like from sales or a different background trying to get into tech. And then we have people who are already in tech that are trying to pivot into a different niche in tech. You know, if you're like a Web2 developer, or if you're just like a normal software developer, software engineer trying to get into Web3, we have that group as well. Then we have already existing developers who are in the Web3 space, but they aren't necessarily, you know, making it big in like the industry. They're finding it hard to get into like the companies and like find employment, I would say. So we have offerings for each individual person coming from those three spaces. Right? We have beginner programs, we have career accelerator programs, and we have advanced programs. So those three types of programs cater to these three types of people. So in terms of your question, we are talking about the advanced offering. So people who are already building, who are existing Web3 developers who want to step up their game and kind of like get hired in like big shot companies. You know, for them, we offer them the advanced bootcamp where we have a lot of advanced concepts, and we don't really focus on any of the beginner level stuff. And then we transition into career development, where our career team, see, this is where the ecosystem comes into play. All our career development strategies and everything, we fine tune it to that specific person. And then we help them with our networking strategies, and then we kind of like show them the way, like, hey, this is what you got to do, this is what you need to do at these steps. If you want to get hired at this specific company, this is the strategy you want to use. So we, rather than we're telling them, hey, here's like a bunch of job opportunities, go apply to them, what we say is we want to figure out who that individual is and why he wanted to get into the bootcamp. So let's say you want to get hired at a place like Consensus. So then we start strategizing, you know, like what other people who got hired there did. And then we figure out how to personalize it for them, and then kind of like snipe like that place.
Okay. This is inspiring other questions, but I want to take a minute just to reset the room.
Before those questions, I guess I'm going to reset it because I have to hop off.
Sorry, Will, I totally lost track of time.
Well, good.
Okay, before the reset, then, Will, do you have a second to give us a final thought? Anything you're keeping your eyes on today, or any final parting words?
No, I guess my parting words will be lessons that I have relearned yesterday. I'm in my 5K trading challenge, where I'm trying to see how high I can get 5K by the end of February, which is because like I really haven't been a margin trader and a short-term trader, so this is all kind of like new for me. Yeah. But it would be don't set margin trades that you don't have the ability to like watch. Like I was skiing yesterday and I was setting and doing trades, and didn't lose money. I still made money. But you know, still at the end of the day, it was basically net neutral. And then the other thing also,
that was a really good write-up or little post. That would be a cool one to like flesh out and do a video on, like a more in-depth explanation of your, you know, the dichotomy of your different trades and like juxtaposing the wins and the losses next to each other all in that same day, and those lessons. That was a good one. Yeah,
I mean, what I should do is I should get onto a chairlift, get to the top of the mountain, set a trade, and then ski to the bottom and close it and see if I make money. Actually, that would be kind of funny. I just need someone to film it. Looks like that. But the other lesson I learned too is 20x leverage is really just too much. Like it's too much. Like I had some great trades with it, I had some bad trades with it. It's just too much. Like if you're gonna play with leverage, for the love of God, do 10x or lower. Preferably if you're starting, use 2x and just like
101x.
They have 101x on this platform for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it's just like crazy. Immediately gone.
Immediately gone.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. So and then also FOMO. FOMO is so much worse when you're a short-term trader. So much worse when you're a short-term trader versus just like long-term swing trading. So really got to be patient and wait for confirmations of like breaking of resistance and support. So anyway, all lessons that I knew, but it's just funny relearning them in this different, like more high pressure, kind of chaotic margin short-term world. So anyway, that's it. But I got to get going, guys. So Ashane, I'm sorry I couldn't stay for longer, but I know you guys will have a great
talking to you about just geeking out about stuff, actually.
Yeah, dude, we'll talk more about One Piece and Warhammer later.
Looking forward to it.
Cool. See you guys.
Yeah. See you, man.
See you.
All right. So just to now reset the room a little bit. Our guest today is Ashane. I'm sorry.
Ashane.
Ashane? Okay.
Yes, there you go.
Dude, one of my pet peeves, because it really bothers me. I'm gonna distract myself. My own room reset. Name pronunciations has always been like a thing for me, and I'm very paranoid whenever I meet someone whose name is native to a different language than
I see.
Because the best way I've ever heard it described, I was in a taxi with my good friend Mac a while ago, and he, for context, for anyone who doesn't know who Mac is, another crypto content creator who has since moved on and is now working on other things. He got his master's degree and then studied abroad in China for 2 years and actually lived there and worked there and is fluent in Chinese. And I just remember him one time, he asked a cab driver what his name was, and the guy gave him some very obviously like Americanized version of his name.
Okay.
And Mac was just like, no. Like, what is your name? What do your parents call you? Not what do you settle for white Americans calling you? And that was the best way I've ever heard to described it. And I'm always paranoid because people say my name wrong all the time.
I see.
And I just, for a long time, I just sort of like let it go. And then finally was like, well, I don't know why I'm like so comfortable with this. Like, I'll take the time and teach someone how to say it properly because it is my name.
When I actually joined Metana for like the first day, people actually mispronounced my name as Asahane. So Asahane, it translates to English as restless. So now, like, it's like a running joke at Metana where like everyone and like the senior people at Metana, they just call me Asahane, or like they just call me restless all the time. And it kind of makes sense because sometimes I do be restless.
Given the little bit that I know about you, that seems like it actually might be kind of appropriate.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes I do a lot of things. I think it's just like the ADHD acting up a little bit, but I would categorize myself as a pretty restless person.
Fair enough. At any rate, we're talking about Metana, which is the Web3 coding and development bootcamp with our guest here today, Ashane Pereira, who is the head of content and curriculum over there. Or I should say, is that like your department, or do you work on anything else, or?
Yes. So content department is like my own department. I manage it.
Gotcha.
Curriculum is like a mix of other departments. I'm not the only one in charge of curriculum. There's like other factors in play as well. We have our instructors who have a big say in the curriculum. And then we have our assistant instructors. And apart from that, we have the operations team as well. So all of those people have a say in the final curriculum that we put out, because that's kind of like our source. If our curriculum sucks, then like the entire like ecosystem just falls apart. So you can't really just rely on one man for that. You have a bunch of different systems going on to actually produce a working, tested curriculum.
I want to dig into curriculum in a second, but first we had one final pair of questions here from the audience just before we get into that. So 2 parts. The first part. Actually, now he's added more parts to it. Okay. All right. One thing at a time. With regards to like recruiting and outreach, how do students come into the Metana funnel? Do you guys, are you out, looking for people in specific fields? Are you more just, is it all kind of inbound, or like what's the most common way that someone finds their way to?
Majority of our students are inbound. We don't really do any outbound at the moment. We're kind of experimenting with it, but at the moment, majority of our students are inbound. It's organically they find a need, because like it's pretty normal for people to want to change careers, because like I did it like 2 different times in my life, right? I went from marketing to arts, and then arts to software development, right? So when you're doing that, you start digging around and like figuring out what the best way to do it is, and then students come across Metana, and that's when they come to us, and they just like so we have this thing called career consultation calls, and we offer this free of charge. Anyone can get their like future careers kind of like prospected based on their current like skills, and figure out what like an actual real feasible way into a tech career is. And we're actually offering this to all of the community at Rise Up Morning Show as like a special session. So it won't be like the normal career guidance session that we usually give. You guys can book it through like a special link that we'll give you guys. And if you do decide to move forward with like the pathway of Metana, and that's not the only pathway we kind of give, we kind of give you alternatives as well. It's up to you to decide. But if you do move forward with the Metana pathway, we'll also we're happy to give everyone from the community of Rise Up Morning Show $2,000 off their final purchase of any Web3 bootcamp. So yeah, if you want to kind of get that discount of the $2,000, all you have to do is just book the career consultation calls that we offer free using the special link that we are going to give you guys.
That is incredible. That's actually perfectly leads into the next question, which is about scholarships that are offered, and the the kind of overall the cost and the time commitment, and what should somebody expect as someone who wants to get into this. And I do think it's important just to set the stage for this, saying that this is a tremendously valuable skill to learn, especially at this stage in the industry as it stands right now. I mean, I think that we're kind of at an inflection point as an industry wherein, everyone is now aware of it. For better or for worse, the world is aware of this once extremely nascent industry. And we're coming up to, I would say, a tipping point, really, wherein, it's going to be more important than it ever has been that good people with intentions to make the space and the industry better are working on projects and products and protocols and platforms that like genuinely help people, as so much of this is getting absorbed into the predatory, extractive, like centralized finance machine.
Yes.
And so, as someone who's hearing this and thinking like, this is what I've been looking for, or, I've been struggling with this kind of out by myself, or like you said, with your first foray into learning about this stuff, just sort of like chasing rabbits down holes and not really learning anything specific or concrete, like, what would someone expect to experience as they onboard fully? What does it cost to go through this? How long does it take? And then,
So
from there.
I'll take everyone through it. So, but before that, I really like what you said about like, people with good intentions coming to the space and then like building on this. That is really, really important. Whether you go into like Metana and then get hired through Metana, or whether you find your own way and get hired, you will not see success if you don't have good intentions and actual passion in this industry. That's something that I have seen in all the people that I talk to. I've talked to founders, I've talked to people who've built so many different things on the platform. Each and every one of those people have a passion, and they have an intention of like making the space better. And that's really important for everyone to have. Like, besides the skills and besides like the networking, besides anything, it's really important that everyone has that. And in terms of, getting onboarded into Metana and like the entire process of Metana, the best way I can explain this is something that one of our students actually said. So the student's name is Joao. He started out as a DJ and did Metana's Web3 bootcamp and went in to get hired as a Web3 backend engineer at Consensus. So he's currently working that role. I'm not sure whether he got promoted or not, but I know that he still works at Consensus. So he said it, because I had a call with him and I was like, hey, how's your journey, man? Like, how's everything been? I want to get some feedback from it. So I asked him, like, going into Metana's bootcamp, because it's kind of a decent investment, right? I was like, were you like afraid of anything? And what he said was, not really, because to him, it was a win-win situation. And the reasoning for him was, so Metana's bootcamps come with a job guarantee, where after 180 days of completing or graduating from a bootcamp, if you don't get hired within that industry with a minimum salary of $50,000 a year, you are going to get your money back, guaranteed.
Wow.
So for him, he was like, hey, if I don't get hired and I go back to DJing, I still get my money back. If I do get hired, I get a brand new job and like a lot more money. And his starting salary was around 70 to 80K. So that's like a lot for a starting salary. That's pretty high. So that's like the best way I could explain it. In his own words, it's a win-win.
No, absolutely. Is there one of the other audience questions was regarding scholarship initiatives or things that people can apply for, financial aid, all that sort of stuff? Are there?
Yes, there is a bunch of different options that you can. So in terms of scholarships, we'll talk about that. We have a lot of different partners, and lots of the times our partners actually sponsor students. Recently last year, we had a partnership going on with Decentraland where they sponsored a bunch of our students as we became their official training partners. I'm not sure if people are aware of Decentraland, but it's an amazing space. I definitely recommend people checking it out. It's really fun. We have our own like dedicated space in Decentraland as well. So if anyone here is like active on Decentraland, go check it out. You can mint your own Metana merch through Decentraland as well. Then we have other partners as well who sponsor like the full payment for all of our students. And apart from that, we also have partnership discounts that we give out, just like the discount that we gave out for all of you guys, $2,000 off your final purchase. And apart from that, if you are a US citizen, we have a credit option as well, where you have to only pay a fraction of the price, total price a month, and you can just apply for credit and then get onto the bootcamp that way. We don't we have a lot of different payment options. You can pay upfront to get like a discount. You can pay monthly if you want. You can go into credit, or you can go down the route of sponsors. But sponsorships, it's dependent on when our partners actually do sponsor students.
Gotcha. Okay. And then finally, are there any age restrictions, requirements, or what are the criteria that a student or anyone has to meet before they can?
Yes, I would say the only hard criteria is that they need to be above the age of 18. That I would say is like the biggest criteria. Apart from that, again, we offer a very personalized service, right? That's why like at the get-go, we offer like consultation sessions first, career consultation sessions, because we want to get to know the person, because changing careers is a big thing. And it's not like one template fits all. Everyone's experiences are completely different. So depending on the students, like each and individual person's experience is going to be a little bit different.
You are spot on about that. My career changes in my life have been, well, the biggest one obviously has been pretty aggressive into my last job before doing this was a search and rescue flight crew and helicopter mechanic as active duty military. So I was flying rescue missions and also taking apart helicopters and putting them back together again. And then rotated straight into blockchain and crypto education through media. So yeah, that's one of my favorite things. So I will never get tired of asking people, like, what was your story? That's why I'm excited to hear that I now can add art museum to the list. We've had, just in the last couple of weeks, we spoke to Dr. Nick Almond, who's the head of governance at Jito, and he has a PhD in physics and worked as an astrophysicist before designing governance systems for DeFi protocols, which is
there you go.
Ludicrously interesting.
In the same line of things, we have one of our students. His name is Santiago. He was actually at one point a dishwasher at a restaurant, and now it's been years after he did the bootcamp. Actually, he did the bootcamp like 2 years back. Now he's actually touring the Africa, teaching people blockchain.
Incredible.
And that's incredible, right? I think if you visit Metana's website and the person that you're seeing first, that's Santiago. That's the student who's currently touring Africa, teaching people about blockchain. Bringing blockchain to everyone.
That is super cool. One of the coolest experience of my entire content and education journey was I had this gentleman who had been following me. He asked a couple questions here and there, and then I just remember we went back and forth a little bit, and it was all about just trying to set up a little bit better bank account of an option for himself. So basically, was interested in buying US dollar backed stable coins, and then where he could earn interest on it. And I had a whole bunch of videos about that, and we went back and forth in comments a little bit. And then one day I just opened up TikTok, and I saw that he was live, and I hopped in to say hello. And he's probably, I don't know for sure, but, mid 40s, and lived in Ghana, and he was just hanging out at a cafe, sitting there, had his phone up, and I guess threw it onto a TikTok live. And there, there's a couple, maybe half a dozen people hanging out in this little restaurant, music playing, whatever. And, there was one, it was just me sitting there in the live with him. And I just said, "Hey, what's up?" And then he got so excited about it. And then we just sat there and kind of went back and forth, and everyone in the cafe apparently also had been following. And we just got to hang out and talk about, blockchain with these guys who were sitting in this cafe in Ghana. And I just remember thinking, dude, we're doing this in real time. Coolest thing ever. That here I'm thousands of miles away. Just I don't know, having tea on opposite ends of the world, talking to this group of 40s.
Yeah, just talking about the things you're passionate about. It doubles down on the fact that you need to be passionate about blockchain. It's really it's important that you have that passion, and if you do, you can go a long way. You can go a long way in this industry.
That's a core memory for me. That I think about that every day, as I sometimes have to sit down and remind myself, why am I continuing to do this? On the frustrating days and you need something to anchor yourself, I always think about that. Okay. Another question that came in that actually I am also extremely curious about is, how has it been for you guys? Because you've been doing this for a little bit. It's not like this just started last week or something. You've been doing this for years. How has the emergence of AI affected you guys? How are you keeping tabs on all that? Has it helped? Has it been a hindrance? What has overall been the Metana experience as AI grows?
Yes. It's been very interesting. Very interesting. It hasn't been a hindrance, not at all. We'll break it down into different sections. Let's look at internally, externally, and for our students, right? So internally speaking, AI has helped us a lot with our kind of normal procedures and our normal structures and how we work. That has happened. It's to a point where it's now a requirement for our new hires to kind of have certain expertise in certain AI tools. It's really important for us because all of our workflows now integrate some sort of AI in some point, and it has drastically improved our efficiency. But that's not to say that we have replaced anyone's work with AI, because I don't think that has happened here yet, and I don't know if that will happen here, just because of how hands-on and personalized Metana services are. But it hasn't. In terms of AI affecting us internally, it just has helped us a ton, a lot actually. And me personally speaking, from content, it has helped the content team a lot. Things that were very mundane and repetitive, editing voiceovers and kind of making the audio crispier. It has been drastically improved. Just a click of the button, literally just saying enhance this audio, and it just does it perfectly. We just had to go through it and see if it missed anything. That has really helped us a lot. Now, externally speaking, publicly, there's a big notion that AI is taking everyone's jobs, and lots of people are getting laid off because of AI. And that is true. That's happening. Because of AI, there's so many people that's getting laid off. Big companies are laying off so many people. Intel, I think, laid off 25,000 people last July, if I'm mistaken. And that number keeps on getting higher. Now, here's the interesting thing. Just as much as people are getting displaced because of AI, new and interesting job opportunities are also being created. It's not in the limelight, like all the social media creators, they're just talking about like how AI is taking away jobs, but they're not really talking about the jobs that AI is creating at the moment, and how AI is changing the way that we apply to current existing roles, because that's a big thing for our students, and that's something that we have included into our career sessions, that we teach our students, how to kind of navigate this AI landscape, where you can find these new roles, and how you can use AI to change up the way you apply to existing roles. So there's like a flip side to the coin. Yes, AI is taking away jobs, but it's also creating and changing the way current roles are being worked. It's a lot like how computers were kind of introduced. When computers were introduced, so many people were afraid of it. They were like, "Oh, this is going to take away our jobs. This is going to be kind of like steamrolling, snowballing into like this big thing." But fast forward a couple of decades, now computers are like a central part of how we work, and I would say AI is pretty similar to that. It's like now we're at like a revolution. We're evolving in a sense.
Yeah, I think that it's multifaceted too. Like you described the risks or the potential benefits to some jobs versus other jobs, but also just given the fact that the primary skill that people come away with from you guys would be software development here. Obviously, AI is now playing a pretty critical role,
Yes.
in people building apps, protocols, services,
Yes.
whatever. And that brings along with it, first of all, potentially very increased efficiency, exponentially increased output, productivity there's
Yes.
benefits, right? But at the same time, like for me personally, I feel like there are a lot of security concerns. I'm very skeptical, and very recently we've kind of watched this explosion with, the whole, Claude bot, turning into Molt bot now with Molt book. And there's this unbelievable amount of exposed API keys, for example, that have started to become exploited, and all the problems that have come out of that. It really looks like a pretty intense dumpster fire. But, so I guess from the coding side of things, is there an integration of like using LLMs in the creation of code, or do you guys warn against that? Or like how do you personally feel as an engineer about the risks there outweighed with the benefits?
We do not warn people against using AI. That would be a very stupid thing. And that would kind of be hypocritical of us, because like I said, internally when we are hiring people, we expect them to know a little bit about how to use specific tools depending on what role they're applying for, right? And the reason why we do this is because it's important, because that's what our workflows are like. And if you look at all the other companies in like different industries, their workflows are also evolving, right? So if people don't adapt and learn how to work and plug themselves into those workflows, that's going to be a problem. And if we tell our students like, hey, do not use AI, that's not going to be like useful for you, you need to do everything, you need raw dog stuff, that's wrong, because that when they apply for jobs, they're going to reach a bottleneck, and that is like they're not compatible with with the employer's AI powered workflows. So our boot camps are always evolving. Recently, even like last week, we updated our curriculum in like the career sessions that we do. And even the cybersecurity boot camps that we offer, we have updated them with a lot of content for AI related cybersecurity risks. And even in Web3 and Web2, we always take an AI first approach. We want people to understand how to utilize AI, how amazing AI is, as well as their shortcomings, because the shortcomings are very real. When you go into work at like very senior level position, you start to understand how inefficient and how bad the output of AI is at the moment. That can change in the future, But at the moment, yes, you can drastically improve your output using AI, but it's not scalable. It's not like a market-ready product that you're bringing. So
I found that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I've had this conversation with my own kid about using AI as a research tool. You know, as he's learning things or asking questions, I've encouraged him to, you know, ask an LLM questions. But then, you know, we talk about the entire experience. So before you can really do that, you have to understand, okay, how is it going to get you an answer? You know, where is it going to get you an answer from? And then what can you do with the answer that it gives you to try to, you know, confirm, verify, you know, understand how these things work. We talk about hallucinating, which I still get. I mean,
that's a very real thing.
Even just as recently as yesterday, I asked a question to one of my Claude threads, and I forget exactly now off the top of my head. I forget what the question was, but it gave me an answer that I just looked at. It was like, and I just commented back. I was like, I'm 99% sure you just made that up, and they were like. That's exactly what they said. They're like, you are so right to call me out. I did just make that up. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, and it's so confident in the answer that
it's so good. Yes.
Yeah. It's like very recently. So I work with script writing a lot, right? Because I like produce a lot of videos.
Right.
So recently I asked ChatGPT 5.2, I think. I just gave it like 2 different sentences. The script was very short. I was like, hey, count the number of words here and just let me know. And it told me it had like 47 words. And I was like, I've read so many scripts in my time at Metana. I know this is not 47 words. So I was like, are you sure this is 47 words? Count it one by one. And it gave me a list of like 1 word at a time with the numbers. And it turned out it had 63 words. And it was like, thank you for catching that. And I'm like, you could have done that in like the first place.
Yep. It's interesting because
really important.
Talking about just, you know, like people vibe coding something that then people, you know, the what's the name of the remember the T app? It was like a social media adjacent application that women could use to warn other like women in their locale.
Oh my God, I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, about potentially dangerous people or, you know, people to avoid. You know, great idea. And then in practice, it ended up just being a complete disaster because of terrible security. Because in order to onboard to the platform, these people had to upload their PI, the personally identifiable information, to confirm that they were a woman, and the entire database got leaked and exploited. And I mean, I don't know exactly how many it was, but thousands upon thousands upon thousands of women's driver's licenses got leaked, which contain lots of identifiable and full legal name, driver's license number, home address, state of residence, hair color, eye color, weight, height, like all this.
That's like so easy. So I've done like some content for cyber bootcamps as well, and something that I've learned from there is, you know, you expect all of these like cyber threats to be like coding related, or like people are just hacking and like coding and like breaking a firewall or something. But contrary to that, like a lot of the time, it's identity theft and it's impersonation. You know, if you're like a very elderly person and like a malicious intent having person figure out like your driver's license, your hair color, all of that, they can call your bank and be like, hey, I lost my card, this is my information, like I need a new card. They request a new card. That's usually how fraud and like things in the cybersecurity space happen in like a broad sense.
It's the security thing. One of my friends that I've made since working in this industry he's a white hat hacker, and makes a full-time living just off of bug bounties for various protocols. You know, I've seen him break pretty much everything. He's broken entire blockchains before and then sent them a very detailed report about exactly how he would take them down. And then all of a sudden, you know, he's got an NDA and everything is very hush hush. He gets invited to all these meetings, but it's so important. I mean, every day I feel like at this point we are, and from the biggest companies in the world, just
Totally.
unbelievable amounts of data breaches, leaks, exploits, hacks that all just lead to, I mean, like you
A
said,
lot of people are too reliant, and
yes,
they're too used to how easy things are now because of AI. They don't really do any of those like security checks. They don't proofread the output that AI gives you.
I think that is the biggest problem that I've like personally identified, is just taking it too much at face value, recognizing that. And actually, the simplest way that I would encourage anyone to begin kind of that little fact check journey with an AI, if you're using one for something, amazing things happen. So the primary objective of most LLMs is to make you happy and comfy, to keep you talking to it, not necessarily to give you quick, snappy, valuable information. Yeah. So and they're so good. Even if you think, I catch myself all the time thinking that I'm writing a very objective question that does not contain any of my inherent bias, and I'm not. And it picks up on the smallest thing. And then so if you, ask it a question, it gives you the write-up, immediately say either like, are you sure? Argue against yourself. What if you were wrong? Prove me wrong. Please challenge me on whatever. Fact check, just a straight like fact check and then quote something. Like all this sort of stuff, to say, is this an accurate statement? What could make it more accurate? Like force it to go on this kind of critical journey with itself, because otherwise its default is most likely going to be to make you happy and be encouraging and all that stuff.
Give you an answer that's like, oh, that's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is a major problem, especially if you're trying to get something important out of it.
Exactly.
Okay. So as we start to wind down here, we're coming up on the end of the hour. I'm curious, first of all, just to have you kind of give us the top-down overview if anyone has recently hopped into the stream and is just kind of trying to figure out, what's going on, who is everybody, what's happening here. Our guest today has been Ashane Pereira from Metana, works on content and curriculum over there. And we've just been talking about mostly the onboarding process and what it looks like for a student, whether you are a complete beginner or you've been doing this for a little bit, you already have some skills, you're trying to get into an ecosystem, to go through a start to finish boot camp and end up with a position of employment inside of this crypto, the blockchain Web3 industry. And had a lot of great questions. I appreciate everyone for hanging out and spending time with us today. I wonder if we can maybe end with this question here. So there's a number of different options as far as which boot camps you guys offer and which one might be right for whoever. So, out of the beginner and then the more advanced ones that require, in order to go into any of the more advanced ones, is there like a list of prerequisites? Does someone have to take the beginner one first, or can you test out of it? How does that work?
That's a good question. So it's a bit of a gray area, right? Because it's like this. Not everyone is coming from a similar background, and not everyone has the skills required to get into the advanced or the accelerator programs. So how we recommend boot camps to our students is from that personalized career consultation session that we offer anyone for free, right? So during that call, so that's where a student's journey actually begins. Over there, our advisors, our career advisors, gather information about yourself, like what skills you have, what background you're coming from, your interests, things like whether you're great at math or whether you're great at problem solving, or whether you have a more creative approach to problem solving. All of those things considered, it's at that call where we give you the rundown on like all the possible pathways that you can take. And you can either go for a beginner one or an advanced one or even an accelerator. We've had people who have like 5-10 years of experience as a software engineer want to start in the beginner programs because they want to like brush up on all of like the beginner skills, and they want to talk to the instructors, get their industry secrets and all of that. So it's at that call, it's at the career guidance session where you get to understand what each program is about, and you yourself will kind of understand where you fit in. So that's where it happens. We don't have clear set criteria on whether you're fit for this bootcamp or not. It's at that call where we do like a whole analysis of yourself and explain to you, hey, these are the pros and cons of doing this versus that.
And we, first of all, I do want to just remind everyone of the incredibly generous offer that you have curated for us and for our community of, you said $2,000 off of your overall final purchase with you guys.
Yes.
You know, signing up for any of the boot camps. What is the overall expected cost for someone, you know, keeping that in mind, and like you mentioned, there are alternative options too. There are scholarship programs that people can apply for. There are sometimes sponsorship opportunities from outside sources who can sponsor students to go through the program, and several different options. So walk me through the cost expectation for students one more time.
The cost expectation, if you're planning to pay upfront, you would pay around like $7,500 without like any discounts. And there are many other flexible payment plans that we have. Some even go down to like $200 a month for US citizens, where you can apply for a credit loan and then pay through that. We have like partners who offer these sorts of loans for anyone who is willing to do a boot camp with us. We have other options where you can break your payment down into segments and pay like $1,000 and then another 1,000 and then the final 1,000 like after you get hired. We have multiple different payment options, but at the end of the things, it boils down to around like $7,500 or $11,000 if you want to go for the most premium hands-on packages. But like our best-selling ones are at around like $7,500.
Gotcha. And you can start with literally no experience. There is a curriculum path for someone who's like, yep, sounds interesting. I know nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I would just encourage anyone to just hop on the consultation call, the career consultation call, because you'll get a lot out of it. Even if you don't want to go ahead with Metana's pathways, you'll get a bunch of different other ways that you can actually jump into Web3. And it'll kind of give you an idea about like what you can achieve here, and give you like a breakdown of how Metana's ecosystem can actually help you get started in this industry.
Awesome. It's so cool. I think the work is so important. I mean, like we said in the beginning, at this point, I think that our industry we are at like an absolutely critical juncture. I believe we are at or rapidly approaching a real tipping point. And I think the most important thing that anybody can do, if they believe in this and they want to see this like be used for good and succeed and, you know, work to actually fulfill the original mission and ethos of this entire space, learning these skills is an incredible way to get started, because I mean, we are just out here trying to build this. And at this point now we're combating, you know, these gigantic multi-centi-billion dollar industries like centralized banking, right? I mean, like all these things are trying to integrate and take over and buy and squish and suppress DeFi and I mean, everything else. And I mean, so I thank you guys for the work that you're doing, because I can't stress how important it is that we don't let that monstrous corporate takeover happen.
Like, it's not just us, it's about like every person in like this industry, you know, everyone has like a passion for this industry, and those are the people that keep it moving forward. So it's kind of like everyone.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for the gift and the discount that you're offering to the Rise Up community. We will have all of that information inside of the community, community.rumshq.com. And if you have any other lingering questions for Metana, for Ashane, or for anybody else on the team, please feel free to forward them to us. We will definitely get them answered for you. I've got a couple noted down here that I will forward to them anyway. And yeah, man, thanks. Thank you so much for hanging out. And just in order to do a true round of final thoughts, because he's right on time, I'm gonna bring Evan to the stage. Evan, have you finished wrangling the demons that possessed your computer this morning, or what?
Yes, and God bless you both. Thank you so much for your patience, Ashane. I'm so sorry this happened to you today.
Don't worry about it.
was
Don't worry about it.
getting warmed up, and I was connecting my prompter software, which I used to drive our show, and it crashed like all of my visual drivers. I couldn't connect to anything. I couldn't move around, and I was like, great. You know that meme of the guy who's in the house when it's on fire? I was like, this is fine. So I had to reinstall some drivers and restart my computer.
That's a hassle, I see.
Yeah. And I have no, technical support, no technical skills. I probably could use a boot camp myself.
Okay. Do book a career consultation call and we'll get you started.
Oh man, thank you so much. Yeah, I caught the last couple minutes of the conversation. I'm looking forward to going back and doing it. And like you said, Alex, I don't mean to belabor the point. Hello to everybody who's hanging out, listening now. I am glad to be with you. And my final thought, since it sounds like you touched on it, is: did you see that note from the banking lobby?
Which note?
Totally unrelated. But man, since Alex talked about the banks and the competing interest in our space, I will bring it up on the show tomorrow. If you want to do your homework, what I would encourage you to do is just take note of the story that people are telling about crypto, about the future of the internet right now. You've got people like our friends at Metana who are telling a story that future is open, that you are invited to participate, that we need your voice. And then you've got other people who say, no, it's just fine the way things are. And yesterday there was that meeting at the White House between the big banking coalition and the crypto insider coalition about the future of crypto regulation, specifically stablecoin interest in the United States. And it's just really interesting to see coming out of that meeting how it was covered in a publication like CoinDesk, Crypto Native, and how it was covered in a press release by the American Bankers Association. Mm-hmm. One of them calls it, an important conversation to have so that people can have rights to their money. And the other one says, this is a loophole that will kill the banking system and hurt millions of everyday Americans. It's very different language, but it's important for us to be informed about it. So we can talk about it more tomorrow. I wanted to give it to you as a preview, though. It's an important conversation to be having right now, not to scare you, but there's more opportunity than ever for you to learn skills, for you to get up to speed with what's happening, and to make a difference. So thanks for being part of that, everybody listening, and that's my final thought.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Ashane, any parting words of wisdom, any final thoughts, amusing anecdotes, good jokes? Anything on your mind as we head out the door?
Just keep building, because this is an amazing industry, and I'm so glad that I've been graced to be part of this industry. Always be passionate about what you are doing. Don't let like a 9-to-5 job or don't work in a place where it's just eating at your soul. Because life, you only get to live it once, right? So you want to do what actually kind of helps you rejuvenate your soul. So just enjoy what you're doing, have a passion, and just keep building this space. It's an amazing space.
And consider quitting your job to work at an art museum.
Yes, because it worked out for me, I must say.
You never know when that's going to catalyze a new and exciting future for you.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for spending your morning with us. I really appreciate you giving us so much of your time. Once again, our guest has been Ashane Pereira from Content and Curriculum over at Metana, friends of the show. They host a number of Web3 and blockchain-related coding boot camps for every level of experience, from absolute beginner to advanced and just looking to get more integrated into an ecosystem, into a community, into the industry. They're kind enough to offer friends of the show and Rise Up community members $2,000 off of their bootcamp purchase. So get a hold of us. Let us know in the community. That's community.rumshq.com, which is, of course, completely free to join. Let us know if you're interested. We will get you all of the information that you need. And if you have any further questions for us or for Metana, you can also leave them there. We will be back, same time, same place tomorrow morning for another episode of the Rise Up Morning Show. And actually tonight will be the first new time slot as I try on a few different shirts here for trust issues. So we will be back tonight at 7:30 Eastern time with Emily, with Lindsay, for another round of policy discussion as it relates to crypto and everything happening in Washington, which is, you know, exciting stuff. So without further ado, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you, and we will see you in the next one.
Glad to be here. See you guys.